The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences has today decided to award Sveriges Riksbanksprize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel for 2022 to S Bernanke, the Brookings Institution, Washington, D.C., USA, Douglas Diamond, the University of Chicago, USA, and Philip Dybvig at Washington University in St. Louis, USA. They obtained the prize for research on banks and financial crises.
S Bernanke, Douglas W. Diamond, and Philip H Dybvig, three US-based economists, were awarded the Nobel Prize in Economics on October 10th. So why did the three economists win the prize, and what does their research signify?
The Nobel Prize for Economics this time has been given to S Bernanke, who was a former chair of the United States Federal Reserve, which is their central bank, and Douglas Diamond and Philip Dybvig. All three are American economists based in US, and they have essentially got the award for analyzing the role of banks in a financial crisis. S Bernanke's, the paper for which the Academy has given S Bernanke the award is a 1983 paper, which analyzed what caused the Great Depression of the 1930s. So, as many of you might know, that in 1929 there was a normal recession that started off in the U.S. economy, but it very quickly snowballed into a massive financial crisis, and then it just didn't stay within US. It became a sort of a massive depression, much worse than a recession across the world. We saw that in US the industrial production fell by almost 50%, unemployment rose by 25%. And you had similar stories being told across the world. In Great Britain, similarly, in Australia, in Germany, in Chile. So across the world, you saw that production fell, unemployment rose, and banks failed. And the particular, the conventional wisdom at that time in 1980s, when S Bernanke came out with his paper, was that banks fail as a consequence of the financial crisis. But Bernanke actually showed that banks don't fail as a consequence of the financial crisis, but bank failure is the cause of a financial crisis. And this is a very crucial insight. What Bernanke was able to show in his paper through a lot of data and analysis is that there is such a thing as a bank run. Now, many of us might know about this, but basically a bank run means that we all deposit our money in the banks. Now, we don't always demand our money back at the same time. But if in a scenario where everybody who deposited the money in a bank wanted the money back at the same time, the bank may not have the money to honor all the demands, and it will as a result fail. So those are called bank runs, and typically they happen when panic strikes. And the Great Depression was such a time when there was a lot of panic, there was a lot of doubt over whether banks will be able to pay back or not. And so what Bernanke showed was that when you have such bank runs, banks fail, and because banks fail, the crisis actually explodes. It becomes much worse. So that is essentially the wisdom that came out of that paper, and that is what Bernanke was rewarded for. Now, Diamond and Dybvig also wrote a paper in 1983, and they wrote another paper in 1984, for which they have been awarded this for the Nobel Prize. And essentially what they showed was that, there is a time inconsistency when a society deals with savings and investments. So in any society, the savers want the money saved in a scenario, in a method where they can bring it back. They can use it. They can use it for liquidity, for uncertainties. They can call the money back. But from an investment perspective, those who are borrowing the money, investing it to make a house or a road or a cinema hall, they want it for a longer period. And so there is this conflict basically between savers and their demands and investors and their demands. And what Diamond and Dybvig told and showed by analysis is that a bank is the intermediary that actually solves this conflict. So it actually takes the money from the savers and lends it to the borrowers and to the investors, and ensures that the liquidity concerns of the savers are also taken care of, and the investors are not disturbed over a longer period, and they can continue to actually invest and go through with their investment and actually get better returns. And they actually showed that to do this you needed a bank, and that is the only way you can actually solve this problem. The other thing that they showed was also about, they also came back and talked about bank runs. And so they talked about and analyzed and showed that to prevent bank runs, there should be certain guarantees. Bank run basically happens, as I mentioned earlier, because people do not trust that the bank will be able to pay back the money. But if there was a deposit insurance scheme, then that doubt will be removed and people will not actually run to the bank, and there will not be as much panic. So those are the two contributions that Diamond and Dybvig made, for which they were awarded. One very good example of their use is the deposit insurance scheme that Diamond and Dybvig talked about. Almost everywhere in the world, we have certain amount of deposit insurance. For example, in India, up to 5 lakh rupees of the money that you put in your bank account is insured. Now, that is a way to tell you that, do not worry about it. Even if the bank goes through a tough phase, do not go back and take all your money out, because that will actually worsen the situation for the bank and for the broader economy. Your money up until 5 lakh rupees will be insured. So that relieves the stress and the worry amongst common depositors, and allows the banks to actually function in a normal manner and contribute for the improvement of the economy.